Baby, you guys know when you're like, you miss the winner's lounge and you're so excited for the hangover tape. That's how I feel, baby. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR Nuggets Podcast. Oh my goodness, presented to you today by Bet365. I'm telling you guys, I am excited to be here. Glowing last night after
you
the
were
Nuggets
glowing.
win. I was strutting. I walked out of the arena doing my own strut. People were taking notice. It was amazing. The Nuggets right now, they're just so fun to watch. They're so fun to think about. They're so fun to talk about. And then we're going to do all those things right now. We're going to talk about them and break something down. Today's topics include rating every player based on a scientific formula on how well they fit in Jokic-ball.
It's a very scientific formula. We spent the last hour coming up with it.
Half hour.
We spent the last hour coming up with it, and I can't wait to debut it.
I can as well. We're going to continue this our crusade to put out into the world that Jokic, his upside is pretty limitless. And then later on in the show, Tim Legler, ESPN's Tim Legler, doing a new show with him.
Hang on.
That's the guy.
ESPN's Tim Legler?
Well, ALLCITY, All NBA shows Tim Legler.
That's what I like to hear.
Today, we couldn't help but he wasn't even on the docket to talk about Jokic and Julian Strawther, but of course he had to, and he gave us 15 minutes basically on it. We're gonna play that for you at the end of the show. First, let me introduce my panel. Over here, the mustache man, Brennan Vogt.
I don't know. I'm getting ready. I don't know.
You can't though. You're too deep.
I know.
You're stuck, baby.
I know. Change the avatar, Eric. It's here to stay.
Light it
it's
up.
Here to stay.
Over there, the man with the wind in his hair.
I feel like you need to keep it after you got compared to Denver news legend Ron Zappolo last night.
That was true. That was the most flattering one.
Now
yet.
you
that
have to keep it.
I probably will, actually. Plus,
you
it's
don't have a
flannel
choice
season now. Yeah, all right.
Ron Zappolo is like the top, that's like the top guy of my childhood, Ron Zappolo.
If you made it through a Colorado summer with the mustache, you got to keep it through the fall and winter.
It's true. All right. I'm stoked. I'm stoked.
Guys, we got to do
that's settled.
Some hangover takes about last night's game. We're on an unbelievable run. We say don't take Jokic for granted. You get the in-season tournament game against the Mavs, all-timer, dominant Jokic performance. He's going up against Luka. Could have been anybody. It made Luka look like just another guy out there. That's how dominant Jokic was. Then you got that Bulls game. Same thing. Takes over the game in ways that where we asked ourselves, is he better than ever? And then last night against the New Orleans Pelicans, down 20. I know you guys went over this last night, but I just want to kind of bring it back up. 3 games in a row where I watched Jokic and I go, it reminds me of LeBron James's game against the Detroit Pistons back in, 2007, when he scored 27 straight, and it felt like we've never seen a player do everything in a stretch like that. Jokic did it for the entire games for 3 games in a row now.
Right.
He had a LeBron's 27-point stretch against Detroit for a 3-game stretch right now, and I'm not even exaggerating. The degree to which he does everything right now is overwhelming. I know you guys talked about it, but just hangover takes. Do you feel any wake up okay, I went a little hot last night?
We might not have gone hot enough.
Yeah, I actually think that's what I was going to say. I really, last night with the grades, I finally turned it into a mini Jokic column again, which every now and then you just have no choice but to do. And I kind of realized that I'm guilty of taking him for granted.
What?
Not consciously. Not that I don't think he's, but it's just so. I start thinking about all the other things that happened because I know what happened with Jokic. He was the best player on the floor. He's an A+ or he's an A. It's a triple-double. He was better than the other guy. I'm just so used to it now that you almost do have to pinch yourself sometimes and just go, look, this isn't really the version of pinching yourself is watching other basketball teams. And then you realize this is not how it works. but he is playing at a Start with Pelicans fans, right? We just asked them. I feel like they'll be the first people that are on our side of this. You go, is Jokic really one of the greatest players of all time? And Pelicans fans will be like, absolutely.
And Larry Nance will be at the front of that line, holding up the Jokic Hall of Fame banner.
But who's right behind him? Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's also like, are you guys kidding? Matt Ryan, by the way, one of his best games ever last night, and still he
was cooking us.
He was cooking. It's still a blowout. So I'm not kidding when I say it just was one for the record books. It was one for the ages, and at the same time, it was routine. And we watched Jokic. I always say one of my favorite Jokic years ever was 2017 because it was also new, and every night it felt like we were seeing something. And over time, he starts to do the same passes, and the dominance becomes expected. I honestly think these last 3 games are a level up above even the greatness we are used to Jokic, to the point where I'm like, guys, I know we're going to get numb to this, but it's not. Nobody else does it like this, where they dominate. Jokic will get a stop, show on a screen, then recover, then strip the ball, then run the break, then pass it to a guy for a wide open 3. They miss, offensive rebound, pass to another guy, set the table on another play, get them a shot, miss again, offensive rebound, put back. And you're like, he set the table 3 times in one possession and got the stop and rebounded and ran the break. It's literally everything.
Yeah. I think part of it also, especially right now this year with this team, is because now he has the perfect ensemble of players to play exactly how he wants to play. And this is the result of it. This is what it looks like when, if you were to let Nikola Jokic just have everybody in the NBA line up and he picks the 4 guys he wants to play with, he might pick Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. That's the genius behind how the Nuggets have constructed their roster. And now Nikola Jokic, watching these last 3 games, he's on autopilot almost. He's not even having to think. He's just playing.
He's not on autopilot, though. He's on, if he was on autopilot, he's got the pedal to the metal and then hit autopilot. So it's easy to him, but it's also 100 miles per hour.
Yeah. And he's just able to dominate and play this way mainly because he's the basketball god, but also because he has, for not the first time ever, but this is the most perfect cast of characters he's ever had around him.
Such a good take, man.
They're healthy. They've been together for a while now. They know how to play together. It's easy for him. He gets to do both now.
He's having so much fun too.
He gets to do what he used to do before the MVP seasons, when he had to learn how to be this certain version of himself without Murray. And then he gets to be that guy too, all at the same time.
I think a lot of times the regular season has been a pain for Nikola Jokic to get through. It's been a grind. It's been a slog. I feel like he's enjoying basketball maybe more than he ever has in a regular season setting, partly because of the joy he's found playing with these guys and the style he's able to play.
I mean, he's never played on a better team.
Yeah.
He's never played on a better team where he has as much say on how things are done. And I mean, it's just there's no reason to believe that he isn't enjoying this, When he had that strip and the Porter alley-oop, that was the most point guard thing he's ever done. I always call him a point guard center, but that was like a Facu Campazzo, no one sees me coming, dude. But he's a polar bear pokes it loose, starts the break, and then oop.
That's a play you make on the blacktop at lunch during school.
Yeah, he's coming for even the tiny
and that's
king
the
moves.
joy he's playing with.
Enough. Right now. He's at a new level, and again, that's what I mean by taking it for granted. Is I pencil him in for this every night. I mean, maybe not 35, 14, and 12, but not that far off. So
worth the price of admission every single time out right now, man. Truly, truly worth it. I'm so glad I got to be in the arena. I've been to 2 games in a row now. I'm always usually here now. I'm so thankful I got to be at the arena for these, because it really does feel, as Dev says, you're at Benihana watching him cook right in front of you. You feel like you're witnessing in person a thing that is there's a show every night right now. And Wind, I love the point. I mean, both of you guys made it, but first of all, I want to go to Dev's point last night. I do think that it is something about he has gained the killer instinct. That is one of the things that's different. Valanciunas was demoralized last night, and we've seen Jokic demoralize a lot of players, But Valanciunas, first of all, Valanciunas is really strong. One of the strongest players in the NBA. Jokic's so much stronger. You watch those guys wrestle, and you're like, how is Jokic that much stronger than Big Val?
His name is freaking Big Val.
Big Val, the Viking. He looks like a Viking. He's like just enormous. And there's Jokic treating him as if
he made him look like Derek Lively.
He made him look like Chet Holmgren. He just pushed him wherever he wanted to go. And then the footwork and stuff was the last one where he gets fouled in the arm but also swishes it. Like, he dominated him so much on a play that with 5 fouls in the clutch, Valanciunas still fouled him, yet Jokic swished the shot, so the foul had no impact on him. And then afterward, Valanciunas kind of drops his head, like, he gives the one where it's like, I just fouled out. This man just dropped, 35, 14, and 12 on me. I made no impact on him
Brother
at all.
passed the Rakia.
It was a total brother, I have 35, 14, and 12 moment. But I think that Harrison, the real reason, so the fire inside Jokic, I think is I think it's legit. He just seems to be chasing something that is driving him so hard. But I think equally as important is with Jokic's style, if you do everything perfect around him, if there was 4 robots around him that just always did the right thing, Jokic would average 100-point triple-double because that's how he is. And right now he has as close as he's ever had to having the perfect, not just skill sets, but guys are reading him better and reading the court better than ever, that he's just out there making reads and everything is so simple to him.
Whew. Yeah.
Do you remember,
man,
how you felt when? I mean, I guess you could. It's probably with the Warriors. It's probably just when Steph was at his peak, and it's, man, we haven't seen this before, and you sort of felt like if you missed a game, you felt guilty.
Yeah.
To yourself because you owed yourself that experience. I remember when the Heat had that winning streak.
Kobe, I felt this way in his scoring binge, the 2-year stretch where he was scoring 40 every night.
When the LeBron Heat had that winning streak going, I was skipping class in college to watch games. Like, skipping social events class, like all of it. I didn't care at all about anything but those games. And I feel that way about this Nuggets team. I know it's early, but I mean, it's fresh off that title too. It just feels like if Jokic and the fellas are playing, like, what would you rather do than watch them? It's you owe it to yourself to do it as a basketball fan.
And like those guys, like Michael Jordan to me is the greatest player that ever played. But I always say that the supporting cast he had around him, in particular in that second three-peat, was the perfect supporting cast to both make the team great, but also to make him and his most valuable thing so important. Like Jordan just did what he naturally is great at doing, and that was the thing his team also needed the most. And so it worked perfect, right? For both them to win, but also for it to feel like it was all Jordan. I kind of feel like this Denver team is very similar to that, in that it's a great supporting cast, but it's also great because it's dependent on him doing the things that he does. And in that, look, Vogt and I in particular, pull up the hot box and hot takes here for a second, Kel. Vogt and I in particular have been, just because we were working together before, obviously joining Harrison, but Vogt and I in particular were doing our hot box and hot takes back in the day, and there's a rhythm to this, Vogt. You say a thing that's absurd.
You pass to the left.
You pass to the left, yeah. You say a thing that is absurd, that you kind of believe in your wildest takes, but you wouldn't want to say publicly, and the initial response is almost anger, like, come on, guys, you're overrating Jokic by saying he is this thing. And then the second phase is sort of laughter, like, haha, that's crazy, but like, okay, whatever. And then the third phase is maybe like, I mean, it's not going to happen, but I guess it is possible that it happens. And then pretty soon it's just like, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if, and then eventually it's just whatever. Weird now with the Jokic being the greatest player to ever play. Again, I'm not saying that he is. This is hot box and hot takes. But it has gone from, like, to me, we put this in the headline the other day as Jokic as great as Michael Jordan. Could he be as great or something like that? And it is a clickbaity headline. I was against it. We ended up going for it, whatever. But the point remains of, like, no, we're saying these things because you have to set a thing to chase and then measure it as to see if it'll happen. And we did this for Jokic when we said he could be an all-star and people laughed. Well, people were angry and then they laughed and then they said it was possible and then next thing you know, he's an all-star. MVP, champion. And I'm just saying we are finally within sight of Jokic being that kind of player, where right now I think he's a top 15 player all time. When you put him out there, I think most people have him 15 to 20, somewhere in that range. But I think that it is now in sight to say, yeah, but the Dirks of the world never dominated to the degree that he is consistently dominating every aspect right now. There are players now where you can say, you know what? That top 5, top 2, top 1 spot, it's way off in the distance, and there's a lot of more likely not to happen than to happen, but it's in sight, and very few players, very, very, very few players have ever been within sight of that, to where at least you could say, well, yes, if he does what he is doing right now for a long enough period of time, then yes, he can have that conversation.
Yeah, we're probably there.
I'm just think about it the way I phrased it. With a lot of players, you would say if they get better, then they can reach that. And
Yeah,
say,
well, he just has to do this for an X amount of more years.
Yep, and win doing what he is currently doing.
He probably needs like another title here for this to be true, but individually, I mean, his last 3.5 or 4 seasons are as good as, I mean, what Larry Bird was doing. I know that sounds blasphemous, and I'm young to say it, and I hate the Celtics, but I mean that, right? Like, it's no longer super, this guy is just looking for attention to be, okay, that Magic, Duncan, Bird kind of class. I mean, how far off is he? Yes, he has to do it long enough and do it more. But what he's doing right now, how far off is it really from what those guys pulled off and accomplished?
I mean, he's shooting, 70% effective field goal percent. Like, this, just the numbers alone, if it was easy, other guys would do it. Nobody else does it.
Right.
If it was easy to average a 30-point triple-double, other people would do it. Nobody does it. He does it consistently, and he does it every night. To me, this is what's so exciting about Jokic, is he just feels like he's in this moment where he was great for many years, but the curve seems so steep right now, and the team is so perfectly built around him to take advantage of what he does on a basketball court.
Dude, he's operating outside of hope. He's above hope. So much of rooting for your favorite team, your favorite players is hoping. Yeah. I hope they're good enough. I hope this shot goes in. I hope they get lucky this series. And I'm past hope with Jokic. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
We're riding high on Jokic right now. We're also riding high on the Denver Nuggets. Let's take a break because on the other side, so now we just said one of the defining things of this season so far in the early go is that they seem to have more Jokic players than ever, meaning they have a system and style in place, and the roster right now seems to have more people capable of going into that system and succeeding than ever before. Julian Strawther being the most recent example of a player where you're like, man, that's a Jokic player. Christian Braun, that's a Jokic player. So we're going to start rating them, giving them a little score to kind of highlight this.
You don't want hangover takes on Brandon Ingram?
No.
You sure?
The good possessions,
dude, he's so
the
good.
Possessions and the bad possessions look the exact same. Right
You
up
sure
until
you don't want those?
Right
Okay.
up until the bucket.
Jordan Hawkins, though, huh?
I'll save him.
Jordan Hawkins? Guy can shoot, man.
It was a cute game. Very cute.
That's too condescending. I give him credit, man. That guy, he's a little tiny.
No,
you know,
we
I don't
said
like
that on
short
the show
kings.
last night. It was a cute game.
Oh, my God.
Guys, Denver's best roofers have joined the DNVR team. Shout out to Red Hawk Roofing. Quality materials, decades of experience, quick response time. Colorado's best estimators and contractors. They are huge DNVR supporters as well. And they give free in-depth photo reports for all inspections, free no-obligation roof and property inspections. Winter is coming, so don't wait to take care of any issues before the big storm.
we hear it.
No, don't. Maybe a little louder next time.
Yeah, we
If
hear
you're
it.
looking for a new roof over your home or business, be sure to check out Red Hawk Roofing. RedHawkRoofing.com. Tell them DNVR sent you. Did they approve for that sound to be played during their read?
I feel like they would. I feel like they would. You know,
All right,
you know what people are
let's keep
going
it
to remember?
going.
Red Hawk Roofing now.
These ad reads are never ordinary. It's never ordinary when Jokic plays basketball, and it's never ordinary when you have Bet365 at your fingertips. Turn any play into the play. Turn any game into the game. I cannot say that you can turn any player into Jokic. I can't lie to you. But you can have a lot of fun when you play responsibly at Bet365. Check out the this offer here. There's a first bet safety net of $1,000 in bonus bets, or bet $5 and receive $150 in bonus bets when you sign up with code DNVR365. You hear us say this stuff into the mic quite often. You get used to hearing it. Well, these codes, these are deals. These are sweet, sweet deals that you can cash in on just because you hang out with us every day.
That's incredible.
So check out Bet365 and look for the DNVR custom bets. You gotta be 21 and older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, and we are back. All right, it's time to rate players, and our formula goes, there's 3 parts of the formula.
3.
Offensive fit next to Jokic, defensive fit next to Jokic, and then cultural fit next to Jokic, okay? These things are all important because you do get players. We were talking earlier about Karl Anthony Towns and how we're like, he has some skill, but it does, the application of that skill is not, it doesn't mesh. It doesn't fit. So there are guys, Bones Highland, pick and roll player with a deep 3 ball and speedy off the dribble. Like, man, there's some fit there, but did he necessarily want to fit in that way? Maybe, maybe not.
Also, wouldn't rate very high on the defensive scale.
Defensive scale might have hurt a little bit. Yeah. And if we think of great players that have come through Denver, maybe that weren't great cultural fits. I mean, Bones Highland, I guess, would probably rate pretty high on that list. But
Nick Young,
great cultural fit. Not a good offensive or defensive fit, though.
You think he was a great cultural fit?
For the 2018 team, yeah.
James Harden, for example, should have an elite pick and roll game with Jokic. He gives a spot up shooter. He could run pick and roll like very few players can. He exploits mismatches. But it's like, come on, man, that guy's not going to cut off ball. He's not going to he'd just tell Jokic to clear out so he can do his dribbling. So that's an example of why that cultural part matters so much. Let's start with an obvious one. Jamal Murray.
Okay.
Peanut butter and jelly. The peanut butter is Nikola Jokic's jelly, or vice versa, where it's unclear. If we just said offensively, how does Jamal Murray fit with Nikola Jokic? Where would you what out of a scale of 1 to 10? What would you go, Wind?
offensively.
I'd go 9.7.
What would make up the gap for those last 0.3s?
Maybe if he was a Steph Curry level shooter.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
you're right. Like,
I agree.
A 10.0 would be the absolute top players, which
He's
Steph Curry would
great
be there.
at. He's a 10 at a lot of things. He checks a lot of boxes as a 10, but you gotta leave a little room for the all-world shooting component. I feel like.
I think he's dead on. I think, and we see it
You
for
have to do the math
games.
for us, Kale, on this.
For
Get the
games and
calculator.
moments, Big Game Murray is a Steph level shooter, but I do think just that kind of fear instilled in the defense of the pick and roll is this high. One of the things we have to be chiefly concerned about is a pull-up 3. And Murray, I think, does that to a great extent, but not literally the greatest extent.
Yeah.
Now he might be the best guard in the NBA to fit with Nikola Jokic, but that
Well, Steph
doesn't.
Curry does still exist.
Yeah,
I would say Steph is probably it, man.
If we just said
Maybe.
Well, again, if we break down offensively, because Murray is bigger and especially defensively,
Yeah.
I think that matters. But offensively, Steph and Jokic probably, guys. Let's just be honest. Steph's getting a lot of open threes.
Probably.
He's probably making them at an insane
I mean,
rate.
and the way they, if they were playing together for all these years,
Right.
the chemistry would probably be there.
But Murray's size, his footwork, his unselfishness. I mean, a lot of guards would want. Like, Donovan Mitchell's a great player, but I just know he'd pass to Jokic less if he was in Murray's role. I just know it. So 9.7 feels really fair to me. Defensively, I'm going to make an argument here. He's 6'5", and I think it's really underrated. Murray can be a really good defender.
Murray is not
6'4.5". He's 6'4.5". Murray's really, really big. I'm just saying, for a point guard, he has great size. He is 6'5", though. He's like 6'4.5".
No, he's
man.
not.
He's like 6'4.5".
He's not 6'5".
He's
Man.
very tall. He's very tall. He has a good wingspan. He's got good size. He's strong. He's not like wiry or anything. He has good size, and that matters in this offense. It allows Denver to switch a lot of things. It allows for a lot of stuff. He's not the greatest defender, but I actually think he's a very good defender. So if I were grading him on the defensive side, I would probably give him like a 9.2.
Wow.
I'd give him a 9.2,
So-
especially if you're talking about as a lead offensive pairing. Very few players are great at both offense and defense. So to me, I'm grading them
But
on
we're
a
talking
scale.
just defense.
I know, but I'm saying your best offensive players. You're not going to just if you want to weigh it that way, you can say it. I'll go 9 then. I'll go 9.
What would you give Marcus Smart as a defender?
Lower. I mean, no, I'd give him higher than Murray, but I'm saying lower than like a 10. He's not a 10.
Right.
Marcus Smart isn't the guy that I would put the 10 there. To me, a 10 defender
Sure, like
for a
Drew or
Jokic.
Caruso.
A Drew or, a Caruso.
I think Jamal's
So
like several levels below that.
If they're a 10, I would probably slot Jamal in like the high 7s.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
You're right. This is hard because here's what's hard about this. We're doing the scale from 0 to 10, but it feels like we're doing the school system where like a 59 would be an F. You know what I mean? So in your mind, you have to wrap your head around like a 5 then would be the most average defensive guard in the NBA, right? And 0 would be the worst defensive guard in the NBA, and 10 would be the best. Okay, and that way, I think you're right. So it's not he's not getting a C grade. He's just getting a 7 out of 10.
So where are we at here? Like a 7.5?
What did you say, Win?
7 works for me.
I'd probably go higher, honestly. I'd probably go about an 8. I think Murray's a better defender than you guys do.
I mean, he's just not one of the better or elite defenders at the guard position in the league. So that's to me what 8, 9, 10 is.
All right. So what do you say? 8? You say 7? Or I say 8. You say 7. You say 7.
I'll split the difference. 7.5.
That works.
So
for
we're
me.
gonna go 7.5.
7.5.
And a 9.7. What do we? And then hold on. We have to do culture fit.
10.
10. Or I guess I don't know. Is it chemistry? I mean, do we have to define some terms here?
I think
fellas?
it's chemistry, locker room presence.
Yeah.
Being in Denver. I think he's got to be a 10 culturally.
Yeah. And
All right.
Jokic loves him, so
So add those 3 together, divide by 3. What do we get?
By 3, we get a 9.06.
9.1. We're gonna have to round up. A 9.1.
9.1.
All right, that's pretty good. I think that sets a baseline for like Murray, peanut butter, and jelly. 9.1 is a really good score.
if that's our first score, I would say this is pretty much a foolproof system, and we can just full steam ahead.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
All right, let's go with Aaron Gordon. Guys, it's honestly less about the number and more about the conversation. Yeah.
No, I think it's more about the number.
I'll be pissed if we get it
I'm a
wrong.
numbers
I'll let you
guy.
go first here. Aaron Gordon, offensively.
Man, in his role, but then compared to, I'll say 8. I'm gonna say 8 offensively. You know, like he's like a 4th option, and in that sense, he's like a 10. But obviously, the shooting stuff, particularly as it rears its head in the Minnesota matchup, which may be relevant this year, there are limitations. Having said that, the rest of it is like A++ stuff.
Yeah, he is the perfect Jokic-ball offensive player other than the shot.
And I think that matters. But the way he occupies valuable real estate, the way he can cut, the way he loves to pass the ball.
Yeah, he's an underrated passer. Here's another
His
thing.
give and goes with Jokic, particularly his crucial involvement in the RIP DHO actions,
Yeah.
like this stuff all.
Well, why is he involved in the RIP DHO action? He's so strong.
Yeah.
No team, I always say this, very few teams have a player that is strong enough to guard him and another player strong enough to guard Jokic. So to me, that's why it's underrated that him and Jokic together are what make Denver overpowering physically. And then the second part, Wind, it's underrated how good his hands are. Jokic throws some tough passes. Like there's tight windows. You got to throw it fast. You got to put some heat on it. He has some of the best hands in the NBA. He catches everything.
The other thing I'm trying to think about with these ratings is who is a 10 on offense? Is there a player that's a 10 on offense?
Let's see.
I don't know if there is actually, because
At the power
Giannis to me would
forward?
probably be the closest one you could
And
put
he
there.
also can't
and
shoot
he
it.
also can't shoot. But
He
he is,
actually
He'd be like a
really
9.
can't shoot.
He would be like a 9 probably.
yeah, but I mean he's so physically dominant that come
I
on.
know.
I might put AG at, I'm in the high 8s for sure.
I'm higher than you guys are.
I might
I'm
be a
lot
9.
higher. I'm a lot. I'm gonna probably go like a 9.4, and here's why. Again, the physical component of all of this. It just when you talk about which team has to make an adjustment, almost every team, if not every single team, has to adjust to Aaron Gordon and Jokic. You have to put your best physical resource on Jokic, which means you have to play. You can't play Torrey Craig. We're just going to put Torrey Craig's R4. Like, no, you can't do that. You have to break your system and now start playing different things. So to me, it's a 9.4.
I don't know, man. First of all, it's not enough, but the only actual scheme against the Denver starters right now involves exploiting AG's weaknesses.
That's true. It is
So
true.
that to me, but also by the
But
way,
has anybody ever done it successfully
by the way,
for a series?
we're arguing between like 8 and 9.5.
Yeah.
I'm not putting him at 6. I just think, but I loved your point there of from that position, is there really a 10? And to that point, when you think of all the things that AG does well, especially how humble he is within the role, the larger point of this is an exceptional fit certainly stands.
Yeah.
Also reads the court really well, which is part of offense. Like, he's not trying to do things that he's not supposed to. I know that'll get to culture a little bit. Nuggets 124.5 offensive rating with Jokic and Gordon.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Where did we settle?
So you guys went to an 8.8.
I went 8. He was higher
you
than
went
me.
8? I
But
went
he's higher than me.
9.4. You went 9.4.
So I'm high 8s, low 9s.
So let's say 9.
He has to go 9. He has to go 9.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go.
nine?
Yeah, we'll go an even
go
9
9.
here. Defensively,
10.
man, he's among the better defenders in the NBA. I
So
really
the
believe
only
it.
thing I think you would want more from him on the defensive end of the floor is rim presence as a shot blocker. So, like, he's in the high 9s for me.
I agree. I don't think it's a 10, but yeah, he's probably like
He's
a 9.6,
9.5 and above.
9.5, 9.6.
Yeah.
He's defensive
Nobody's
really good.
perfect. Nobody is going to be a 10, I don't
Giannis,
think.
I think, would be a
Giannis,
10
I
on
would put
defense.
10.
I think Giannis would be a 10.
Yeah, I would say you're right. Like there's
Mid
the
9s for me, probably.
an AG can chase down and clean up block, but he's not
Yeah.
necessarily the point guard sees him there. I'm turning around and going
Yeah.
the other way, like Rudy or whatever, different position. But all right, I'm with you in like a 9 again.
Just a 9, a straight 9. What did you say? Win 9.5.
Yeah.
I'm 9.5 as well.
Yeah,
so
we can go 9.5.
9.5.
No,
9.5, and then the fit. The cultural part of this.
10.
Nobody.
it's-
he freaking went to Sombor. you
Literally
guys.
Mr. Nugget.
Yeah.
Mr. Nugget.
Yeah.
I mean, Jamal and AG are both 10 fits
I think he's-
culturally.
I
This
think
is
he's a
the
10.
Gary Harris.
Man, is he gonna have a
Monte
higher
Morris
score than Murray?
Oh, God. We're going to have to go
He
back
has a
and
higher score than Murray. He's a 9.5.
examine these
a
ratings.
9.5.
He's a 9.5.
Not a
I think you guys were too high on offense.
The offense was
you
a
guys
little
were
too
too
high.
high on offense.
Except for, I'm telling you, when he's on the court, it's what unlocks Denver's
I mean, I'm
offense.
telling you, he's just not a better Jokic-ball fit than Jamal Murray.
It's too high on offense, dude. The first step of trying to scheme out their offense is based off AG's weakness. He can't be like a 9.5 on offense.
I think Romy's in the comments there. JJJ is a 10 on defense.
I don't know.
See,
man.
I don't know
I
because
don't think so. He's not that-
JJJ is a foul machine.
He can't rebound.
I don't
And
think
he
he is. I
can't
don't
rebound.
think he is.
He's not as versatile, I don't think.
Again, it's the conversation here. It's the conversation. All right, let's go to KCP. 3-and-D, offensive fit. He doesn't handle his weaknesses is he's not the best like pick and roll handle. Like
Yeah.
he's more role player. So for me, it's probably more like an 8.5-ish range. Great shooter, good size, cuts, knows that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But he can't pick and roll outside of just
I'd
catching
agree
and
with
shooting.
that. I mean, he
Basic
can
pocket pass.
do that
Yeah.
well enough
Yep, well
for
enough.
being the fifth option.
Yeah.
But we're kind of comparing everybody to each other here.
Yeah.
So I'd say
8.5.
that's
You're
about
feeling
right.
8.5 offensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably just say 8, just because
8.
it's a bit more. I think of the starters, it's the most one-dimensional, but it's also a perfect fit.
Yeah.
It's a perfect slide into
Yeah.
what they ask him to do.
All right. We'll go 8-3.
8-3?
8-3.
Okay.
Defensively, guys, guarding pick and roll and getting around screens is so important. It's
Yeah,
one
I
of the
mean,
most
it's-
important things, and he is probably in the top 10 in the NBA at doing that exact thing. He sits down and guards well. He has great size, great length, great wingspan. I think defensively, he's probably like in the 9-2 range. He's way up there.
Yeah. I'm good with that.
Yeah, like literally the only reason you don't say 10 is maybe arguably as opposed to Jiro Caruso. It's just not the one-on-one lockdown. You can't
Yeah.
turn the corner
Right.
on me. But he's so disruptive, so good at navigating the screens. I love that rating. Love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And then cultural fit, man. There's a lot of 10s on
3
this list,
straight
man.
10s?
I don't know if he's a 10, but kind of. Like,
No,
doesn't
he can't
need
be a
anything.
10. He can't be a
Why?
10 because he's not Jamal and AG.
But is he culturally?
He's an incredible fit culturally. But if we're putting those guys at a 10, there's got to be some scale.
What
here.
does he do wrong?
I'm not saying he does anything really wrong.
This isn't skill level. He's knocked on the skill level part. But as far as culture, he doesn't want extra shots. He doesn't care if he takes any. He takes assignments. What is it culturally that he doesn't? He reads the court well.
Again, I'm just trying to insert some type of scale.
9.8? Can we go 9.8?
Sure.
All
Yes.
right. Are you good with that?
Sure.
What do we get, Kale? How did our formula do?
Who am I to argue with science, Adam?
9.1, same as Jamal.
Jamal is below everybody. We screwed up. This formula's so bad.
That's what I was trying to get away from.
I've been pushing back on literally every score you've offered.
Michael Porter Jr. Offensively, 6'11" with a crazy jumper. Let's just start there. So valuable. 6'11", playing small forward allows for, again, this size component that is so huge. Underrated cutter. Underrated offensive rebounder, underrated finisher around the rim. Like he actually finishes tough things, man. Like really, really well. Mm-hmm. Not the best handle, can't really run pick and roll, and I think that like his feel for the game is low. So how do we weigh these things?
To me, he would be fourth on this list on offensive fit.
I think so too.
So definitely below KCP. Definitely below AG, definitely below Jamal. I'd say he's probably in the 8s.
Yeah, there's something interesting about this exercise with Porter, because I think Porter's going to be grayed out as a more talented player than a lot of these guys in a lot of categories in a vacuum. But as a Jokic fit, it's much more of an ambitious project from a team. So I expect to see him not grade out as well in this as, for example, AG, and maybe even KCP, even though I think he's certainly a better player than KCP. So I like that way that's argued, because I think some of his first instincts and some of the stuff he wanted to do initially, maybe isn't quite as a seamless fit.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd probably go the shooting is so valuable though, and it's Jokic. We talked about the 124.5 with Gordon. It's 124.7. The Jokic Porter pairing is always one of the best two-man pairings, and I really do think it's when you have that guy, the gravity is so ridiculously big that the court just gets wider. So I probably skew a little higher than you guys. The thing about Porter is he has the most discernible things left on the table, because it feels like if he did read the court a little bit better and maybe have a little bit of a stronger handle to his game, he would be like a 10. But because he doesn't, we weigh it down. I would probably say like an I don't know, like an 8.9. I'd be so close to a 9, man. The offensive shooting is so valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah, 9 works for me, but
Defensively, he's made some really big strides there, and he's 6'11". That's the huge part about it. I do think there's something too. He always shows up too in the defensive, things here. But he also is by far the most mistake prone of the starting lineup on the defensive end. In a tier all of his own. In that,
I would argue at this point he is a better defensive fit in the starting lineup alongside Jokic than Jamal.
I think he's just a more impactful on-ball defender, but he makes more mistakes off-ball, which is the thing.
Yeah, sure.
What did we have Jamal at defensively?
Do you remember,
I
Kale?
think like 8.8 or something, like 8 or
I
8.5
think
or
it was an
something.
8.5 is where we
An
settled.
8.5?
8.5 is where we settled.
So I'd probably have, Michael Porter in the 7 to 7.5 range. Me personally.
Yeah, and then
on that scale.
If we're doing that, yeah, then I would say 8. Dude, I'm sorry, man. I think he might be a better defender than Jamal at this point. I think in the starting lineup, Jamal's the weak link, but
he's the one that they target for sure to put like on ball and to make. But Mike is the one that I think has the most like. All right, we have to go to the film. You missed this thing, so it's kind of like they each have one. I would probably put them pretty.
But Murray also has a much bigger workload offensively in terms of exertion and how much he runs and stuff. So I get that it's different.
I'll go probably 7-7. I'd probably go 7-7 there. And then cultural fit. Here's the thing, man. Mike's bought in.
This is a 10.
He doesn't read the court well enough for it to be a 10. He doesn't read the court
What
well
is that?
enough.
That's culture. Are we back on offense or are we doing culture? What are you talking about?
I think these are the same thing to me. These are like in the same category.
What?
No? You don't think? Like
Playmaking, floor vision is like offense.
Okay. All right. Culture fit. He's bought in, though. I mean, Michael Porter's bought in.
He definitely has. He definitely has.
Are we going 10s? The whole starting lineup gets a 10. I mean, honestly, I would go
we
for
need
it.
to all do this ourselves, I think, because he has absolutely bought in. He for me is still below those first 3 in cultural fit.
He does lead the starting lineup in plays that make Yoke go like this.
Yeah. Yeah. He does.
It bothers you so much whenever there's something. I mean, he's bought in. He's high up there.
All right, where are we going on this?
He's been asked to sacrifice as much as anyone. He's done it.
Yeah.
Doesn't complain. Deals with the most shit
I
from the
think
coach.
Adam just needs to make the executive decision.
We're abandoning the scoring rest system. He's a great cultural fit.
no
I
more
mean, I would
scores.
probably go like a 9.7. I do think
That's
there's
crazy.
something to. You think that's way too high?
Yeah. If AG is that,
Is it? Well, I thought AG is a 10. I had KCP as a 10. I have Murray as a 10. He's the one guy that, again, takes some shots that are a little out of pocket, but I think it has more to do with his read of the court than on his like cultural buy-in,
Okay.
if that makes sense. I don't think he's doing that because he's like, it's my time. I think he does it because he's like, I'm supposed to shoot this, right? And Jokic like, no.
okay.
Yeah,
Every
I
now and
do.
then, not
That's what
often.
I'm saying. Yeah, that's
not
what I
often,
think.
but just like
Right.
sometimes.
I
9.5. Let's
We've
give it a
gotten to the
9.5.
heart of the true ridiculousness of this exercise.
I know. It got
I'm having
too,
fun.
It got too weird. All right, let's take a break on the other side. The real reason I wanted to do this, though, was not the starters. Who
You
we all
just
kind of
want to give
agree.
everybody 10s.
The real reason I
Right.
wanted to do it was because the starters were like, to me, are all 10s anyway. They're close enough. If we were doing, maybe we should have done A, B, C, or whatever. We should have gone there. It'd be easier.
We would have
Because
just,
they
you
would've
would
all
have
been-
given everybody A's.
They would have all been A's. And that's the point. But when you start to get to the bench, I'm watching Julian Strawther, I'm watching Christian Braun, and I'm like, these guys fit so well as anybody that's come through the Nuggets system that was in the 6th, 7th, 8th spot. Those guys fit as well as anybody at those spots. The starters we all know, but the bench. So let's get to the bench on the
Can't
other
wait
side.
for you to give Julian Strawther a 10.
10.
That's what I said. Guys, it's important to start saving for college early, and you need a plan just in case your child doesn't land an athletic scholarship. College Invest makes it easy with flexible saving plans. You'll benefit from a Colorado tax deduction as well. Savings can also be used for trade schools and apprenticeships nationwide. Open your account today, collegeinvest.org. Not every kid out there is going to land a scholarship. You want to be prepared so you're not panicking when it's time to go to college. College Invest, they make it so easy. Flexible saving plans that work for everybody, no matter what your situation is. You'll benefit, like I said, from a Colorado tax deduction. Savings can also be used for trade schools and apprenticeships nationwide, so a lot more than just the traditional 4-year colleges. Open your account today, collegeinvest.org.
Tier system was needed, says the chat. We're back to tiers.
We're back
it always
to tiers.
comes back to
so true.
tiers.
Should be tiers.
Oh man, tier 1 CF.
Sometimes you think of these things and it's like they don't actually work in practice.
Listen, this
No, it
episode-
would work if you didn't give everybody a 10.
on everything.
It's okay.
Hey,
it's
listen.
okay to be a little critical.
Listen, whether you like this episode of DNVR Nuggets or not, it's sponsored by Illegal Pete's. The Avalanche are back. The Nuggets are back. Become the MVP of your watch party with Illegal Pete's. From a case of queso, to burrito boxes and party margs, they've got you covered to fuel your crew. Have tickets to a game this season? Head to Illegal Pete's before or after any ticketed event and score a free house margarita or a draft beer with their sound check promo. Illegal Pete's, friends, it's been your go-to spots for burritos, buddies, and beer for over 28 years.
Alrighty, we are back here. Let's get to the bench now. I would start with Christian Braun, the 6th man. We'll just go quickly through this. We don't have to. The numbers thing. I just want to talk about it here.
We've abandoned the system after
just
one
want the
segment.
Let's do
conversation.
it. No,
I
let's
just want
do
the
it.
conversation. Here's the thing: Christian Braun on
10.
on offense.
No,
Christian
defense.
Braun on offense has actually struggled with the things that were sort of hyped about him coming out. He hasn't shot the ball particularly well, and his handle hasn't necessarily looked like a thing that is a weapon. It looks more of like every now and then he gets a drive and then drops one off. He had a great drive and dish assist the other day off of some stuff. He does cut very well, but offensively, I actually feel like it's pretty robust. He's not an anchor. There's no negatives to his offense. Isn't like he's ruining things, but at the same time, he doesn't have a thing where you're like, oh, when he's on the court, you better watch out for, I guess offensive rebounding. I would say offensive rebounding.
Yeah, I would have him in the 6.5 range, I think, offensively. Hasn't really developed a 3-point shot. Isn't
Dude.
a threat to shoot off the dribble.
That's how you be critical about your guy.
I mean, I don't have a problem being critical about the Nuggets. He does not a threat off the dribble. In transition, like in chaos, I think is some of his best offensive qualities. Off-ball cutting is there. Offensive rebounding, absolutely. Hustle plays. But there's a lot of room to get better.
To play devil's advocate and given the benefit of the doubt a little bit, what he doesn't try to do matters as well, right?
Yeah.
He can stay out of the way. He's not necessarily trying to he's not going to sabotage or hijack many, if any, half-court possessions. So it does, at least it's not like having Torrey Craig out there offensively, where now it gets so hard to do what you want to do. It's more of just he's particularly limited at this point in what he can do.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel as well. It's a little robust. I am hopeful that he can work on his shot and some other things. But here's the funny thing, guys. Guess who leads the Nuggets in offensive rating when sharing the court with Jokic?
Here we go.
Christian Braun.
Well, it's probably because Jokic is so good.
He is so good, but I'm telling you, there's something to not screwing up is like actually a sneaky. We underrate how important that is. Just giving the ball to Jokic and not screwing up is like, it makes it more Jokic focused, which is part of what I think happens here. So 125.6 offensive rating in 62 minutes. Small sample size, but I love the way he looks there. But that being said, the discernible skill set's not necessarily there. Defensively, super high. He's great size, great on-ball defense. Guards lots of different types of players, can switch, allows you for the best switching lineups involve Christian Braun. He's super high on my list here.
He might be the best defensive Jokic-ball player on the Nuggets. He would probably have the highest rating if we're talking about defense out of any player for me.
Aaron Gordon way up there as well. I mean,
He's higher
competing.
than Aaron Gordon for me.
Really?
Yeah.
He might be pound for pound the best defender on the team. I mean, there's something
What
to...
could he do better? Have a longer wingspan?
Well, there's something to there's a bottom line to the playoff run. AG just had a defender, right, of the premier matchups he took.
Yeah.
But I'm buying what you're selling. Like, I think Christian Braun is a near perfect defensive player, honestly. And when he's out there, I think that's part of a reason why good things happen on both ends of the floor. It's just when he's out there, they're just so airtight, and I'm sure they get to transition plenty.
Second best defensive rating next to Jokic. They have a 36.5 plus 36.5 net rating together, guys. The number is actually absurd. It's a small sample size. That'll come down. But at the moment, it's unbelievable what happens with those two around the court. Culture fit.
The chat is having a field day with this episode.
I mean, culturally, probably a 10.
I'm just saying he doesn't do anything wrong. That's a big part of the culture. He's a winner. He probably is a 10 to me. Yes, chat, we're giving him a 10 on culture. We got to go quick here. Reggie Jackson, offensively, he's been phenomenal this year in terms of fitting next to Jokic. He doesn't have the skill set that you love. Like he's a good catch and shoot shooter. He does have some speed to get downhill. But of all the guys we've mentioned so far, does he have the lowest score of like just a Jokic-ball fit? Factoring in what he is right now, the way he's playing right now.
Yeah. I mean, if we said
great.
5 is totally the average,
Yeah.
I mean, I think he could be that or slightly above it.
So far this year has been better than that, though, I think. It's only 7 or 8 games, but
I think he's been okay. I would say he's, 5.5 to 6.
Okay. 124.2 offensive rating with Jokic in 100 minutes so far. What do you think?
Yeah, the Boston Celtics also have a great offensive rating.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably just say like a 5 or a 6, and really,
I'm going to go 6.
It's just the length, really.
The length matters,
The
too,
length,
that
and the
helps.
length matters.
Defensively, same thing. Like the length really... He's a guy that can switch everything, so
I'll
it like
also
helps.
say this: he's not a stopper, but he's been competing this year.
Yeah, he's playing
He's
hard.
playing hard, and and it might be more than half the battle, man. At this point, I really think that.
I think coming into the year, I would have given him like a 2.
Yeah.
And this year, I think I have him a 6. That's how well he's played. Now, it is early, and you told me is he going to regress back closer to that other number? Maybe. We'll see. But I honestly think he has been a good Jokic ball player so far this year, despite the fact that he doesn't necessarily have a skill set that you go, he's going to be the shooter. He's going to be the pick and roll guy. Like, he's just been good at everything in his fit in. Culturally,
What's a 1 here, by the way? Like Jordan Poole?
A 1 defensively,
Trae Young down there.
Facu Campazzo.
It's tough.
Culturally, I think Reggie's been great. He's not a 10 like the other guys, but he has like bought in. He's been great. I think the team seems to really like him.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's up like to my surprise, he's been like a 9. Like he's been really, really good. I think.
Yeah.
No
good with
complaints.
that.
Totally.
Let's go to Peyton Watson. Offensively, there's a skill set there, but it's not polished yet. He's really long and he has something. He cuts well, and I actually think his cutting. I put it on the list this last week. I always talk about Jokic loves long cutters because you can lead him. He has that. Not necessarily a great pick and roll player yet at all. Not a good spot up shooter right now. So to me, he might be the lowest we're going to get of the players.
Is he lower than Christian Braun? Because
He
both
makes
those
more
guys,
mistakes, I would say.
Yeah, those guys are tough. Like Christian Braun makes less mistakes, but tries less things almost. And P-Wat explores his game a little more, maybe.
I think CB might be a slightly better fit here offensively.
Yeah, those two are close to me.
It's just too early in his development. I mean, they do have a 105. They've only played 39 minutes, but 105.7 offensive rating, pretty low. But it's 35 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
Very volatile number.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a very good one. I would say at this very moment, he is probably more in the 5 range, 4 range,
I'd say slightly above 5 just because he has that length.
Yeah.
And
he
he
cuts.
can, you can throw it up Randy Moss style. So I'd say 5 point something.
Defensively?
Defensively, if AG is in the 9s, if Christian Braun's a 10, he's probably high 8s for me right now.
Yeah. He makes a huge impact. He allows you to switch, and he just has so much length, man.
Yeah.
But he does make mistakes. That's the one thing is I
He
think you
does.
have to be more locked in. But
Yeah, he can get blown by. He
that's why
can make
I would go
mistakes.
low 8s, but projects to be a 10 over time.
Right now, 8s though.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
I like that.
And then cultural fit. So far, I will say I was worried about his work ethic and these different things and how hard does he play while he's out there. I do think he has had a bump up since the season started, but I don't know. I probably would be like a TBD.
Yeah, I'd put him, in the 8s as well.
Julian Strawther. Offensively, here's my thing. Julian Strawther, I said, was the offensive counterpart to Christian Braun. The guy doesn't mess up. He's in the right spot. He reads the court extremely well. And then his finishing skills, the way Christian is just a good defender on top of not making mistakes. Julian Strawther is arguably, at this very moment, I said this the other day, you guys thought I was crazy. When he takes a shot, I am more confident that it's going in than any other player right now. Usually that's Mike.
I don't think I was here when you said that.
Usually that's Mike, but because Mike has been a little bit up and down.
No doubt.
And because Julian Strawther just is shooting with such confidence. Right now, when Julian Strawther gets the handoff and goes into the shooting motion with a clean look, I'm like, that is in for sure.
Yeah. So 10?
No, because he doesn't handle he doesn't play pick and roll and stuff well enough. But
but
it's very high. It's like...
No, to your point, I think he's in the 8s to low 9s.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, 8.5 for me.
And
I
he
think
projects to be a 9s player in short order.
Yeah.
catch and shoot, nowhere to be, fearless, shot ready.
And has some handle to him. He's not like a nothing.
All that
He
stuff
can
around
play
the-
DHO.
Yep.
He can play that game.
So all that
Pitch
stuff
back.
around the perimeter's tight. Near the rim, it's pretty good. He's just probably not going to break a ton of people down, make a ton of plays. But,
Which is fine when you have
but
Jokic.
that total, strong agree. So I'm looking at the differences between an 8.5 and a 10, But I
Yeah.
think early returns are 8.5.
Yeah.
I
range.
agree. I would say early returns are that he looks like an 8s player to me, and I think that he projects to be a high 9s player in short order, and that's why I love him. Defensively, 6'7", uses great angles. This is it to me. Is he elite at anything defensively? No. Knows how to use his size. Knows how to just keep the defender in front of him and then contest with length. And to me, you can play switch everything defense, switch 1 through 4. So if Jokic's on the court, switch 1 through 4 when Julian's out there, no problems at all. Holds his own, but he's not necessarily great at anything. He just doesn't make mistakes.
He's in the 7s probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
better than average because of his
that's
size.
really good.
And then culturally, man, I just love the way he's fit so far. He's TBD because we know it's like Peyton is TBD. Julian's TBD, but early returns are that he looks like a perfect culture fit. He
does.
understands the game, knows what his role is, doesn't seem to want anything other than... He's not shooting turnaround jumpers. You know what I
Right.
mean? Has he taken a single shot so far this year that you were like, ugh?
No, because it's Julian Strawther, and he could shoot it from 3 every time he touches it.
Yeah.
If Julian Strawther's taking 3s or
Yeah.
floaters,
Yeah.
nobody's gonna have an issue with it.
These are the guys in the rotation right now. That's why I'm so high on him.
The steady Gillespie disrespect
He's
will
only played
not
one game. He's only played
be
one game.
taken.
And also, we're out of time. We're at 55 minutes. So we have to get to this last segment. So let's take a break. On the other side, guys, Tim Legler waxed poetic about Nikola Jokic. Tim Legler, one of the best analysts, if not the best basketball analyst on the planet. And Julian Strawther. He might have had Julian Strawther a little higher, even on some of his ratings, if I were to ask.
For the record, I'd give Steady Gillespie a 10 for culture. For the record. Guys, Backus and Shanker, when you get hurt, Backus and Shanker is here to help. Backus and Shanker wins for Colorado families. They've been helping those seriously injured in Colorado for more than 25 years, and they are free until they win your case. No upfront fees. No fees while they work on your case. No fees unless they win your case. And they've won over $1 billion for their clients, now with even more locations in Denver, Aurora, Englewood, and Fort Collins. Give them a call today. They help with all kinds of injury cases where you weren't at fault. Car accidents, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrians, trucks. Backus and Shanker can even help you if you're injured at work. Give them a call, 222-2222, to find out if you have a case for free. Backus and Shanker wins.
Shady Rays is back as a sponsor on this show, which is
Hell
dope
yeah.
because they're an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. And I like that a lot because I don't like wearing and breaking expensive stuff. I like shopping with little to no risk. I like knowing I could exchange my pair or return them for free within 30 days. That's why I do my sunglass shopping with the good folks at Shady Rays. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out one of their best deals of the season. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code DNVR for 50% off, half off. 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
Alrighty, guys. So if you hadn't heard, ALLCITY just launched a series of national pods. We have the All NFL show. We have a What Chaos, which is a great hockey show. They had Connor Bedard on, basically the Victor Wembanyama of the NHL. They had on their show today. Did
that show just start?
What's that?
Didn't that show just come into existence?
I know, it's
They have
crazy.
Connor
It's
Bedard
crazy that
on?
they were getting these big names. And then the NBA show, which is hosted by myself and starring Tim Legler. Tim Legler, if you don't know, has been doing SportsCenter for 23 years, usually with Scott Van Pelt. He does a whole host of other things, and he's a phenomenal X's and O's host. No frills, just basketball, and it's been incredible doing the show with him. Today, we've done 4 episodes. So if you guys, I highly encourage you to check it out. Just see what you think. I speak in a little bit of a different voice over there because it's a little bit, it's not like this one where we're laughing and playing silly games and different things. It's a little bit more, letting Tim Legler cook. But check it out.
He just interrupts Tim. I would be higher. I would go higher, Tim. I would go higher.
Tim's not giving out a 10 to
He's not giving
Julian
out tens.
Strawther.
But on today's show, we actually had we had to talk about Jokic a little bit. We had to talk about Julian Strawther. Tim Legler was a shooter in the NBA, so he has a lot to say about Julian Strawther as a shooter that I thought was really interesting. And if you like it, or if you just like me, do me the biggest favor and subscribe to that show on whatever platform you get podcasts. Want to build this thing up and make it big. I think it's the number 4 basketball podcast in the world right now out of the gate. It's growing quite a bit. And then check it out on YouTube as well because we go live every single morning, he and I. Real quick, though, we do have a super chat, you said, Kale? 3 super chats. Let's hit those real quick.
For you here. William Mitchell, a tier system was needed since math is hard.
So true. So true.
No,
hey, sometimes the games don't work, guys.
gotta do it live.
happens.
I think our formula was actually good.
The content was good.
Yeah,
Nico
we just
Perez.
didn't.
In my head, a 6 is like an F,
How?
I know, because, we didn't
What's going on in your
This is
head?
the best part is that we did not have this conversation before the show. Nico Perez, guys, I know it's early, but the more I watch our team this season, the more I feel I'm watching an all-time great team. Thoughts?
We're going to have to talk about that tomorrow on the pregame show, man.
Me
But
too,
we're ahead of
yeah.
ourselves. Only 7 games, 8 games.
I know,
We're ahead
I
of
know.
ourselves. Let's wait and
I
see.
know.
Without further ado,
Joe
guys.
Arrow 27, hoping to see you all on the
Wow.
live show this Friday. Feeling especially smug in Nuggets life today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, the live show this Friday, by the way, down at Basketball Social House. Come check us out. We'll do a show down there, I think. There's a well, we are good. Okay, we're good to do our live show there at 5 o'clock. And then afterwards, 3-point competition. It's going to be fun. See if you can take on Harrison Wynn, take on myself.
I'm retired.
Retired. It should be a lot of fun.
I
All right,
won't be
without further ado,
participating.
Tim Legler and I. Nikola Jokic goes to the podium, and he has an all-time Jokic quote. He says, "Winning is fun, and losing sucks." When asked about his motivation this year and how they're playing, and
Jokic, to me, it's hard to know when a player of that caliber, are they better than they were the year before? I mean, he just did a 30-point triple-double through the Western Conference, playoffs. It's hard to say he's better now. It's the regular season tempo and everything. But to me, he looks better. He looks more dominant, out the gate so far this season. And the last 3 games he's played have just been unbelievable, and how much he's impacting every single micro moment, not even every possession, every portion of a possession on both ends of the court right now. And a colleague of mine said it best last night. What's improved about him is his like competitive drive. And it was already really high, but he seems to be motivated by something else this year, where usually the regular season, he kind of is he knows how much energy to expend or how much not to or whatever. He's had his foot on the gas pedal from the opening tip of the season so far. He's going at guys. He's going so hard. And last night was no different, as he put up another masterpiece, a 38-point triple-double. You watched that game. Were you as impressed by what you saw from Jokic? I mean, it's again, he's been impressive for a while, but were you as impressed as I was with what he did?
Yeah, you think by this point, it's kind of mundane to watch him have those kind of games because you've seen him so many times. But no, I'm still blown away. And the main thing I think that I take away every time I watch him is the simplicity with which he operates. He's the only player in the league that doesn't have 1 second of wasted motion, energy, or lack of purpose in what he's doing. It's very simple to him. And that just speaks to, this might be the smartest player in the NBA, the way he's processing what's going on possession by possession. He's so far advanced in that way that he can then simplify the game. If this is what it requires on this possession, that's what I'm going to do. His simple seals and drop steps, the little jump hooks he shoots over guys when he positions himself to get there. He's obviously, for a guy that doesn't have a ton of like tone to his muscle, he's incredibly strong.
He's so strong.
He's just immovable, because you see really strong guys and really good athletes have no chance against him. If he gets hit them on his back, it's over. It is game over. He had a couple plays last night that are so simple too, and you're just like, you would never notice it in a box score. He had a dunk that he got in transition when he got it back from Reggie Jackson, second half. But that wasn't the best part. The best part of it was he was leading the break. He went to throw the ball to Reggie Jackson on the right wing, and he kind of jumped in the air and to make the pass. And just as he did it, a defender shot into the passing lane. So what does he do? He just hangs in the air a little bit longer and holds the ball and then throws it behind the head, right, of the defender who jumped into the lane. So Reggie Jackson was able to receive the pass, and then he just keeps running through him, gets it back, and makes a simple two-handed dunk. And everybody looks at the dunk, that makes the highlight. No. It was his ability to adjust on the fly to what was going to be a turnover if he threw the ball when he wanted to throw it. It's little things like that, and what he is seeing. He's got a CPU between his ears that's just operating at such a high speed. It's not fair, really, to have the skill set to go with it. And what he said is true, by the way. Every great competitor I've ever been around, it's the hatred of losing far surpasses anything they get in the reward of winning until you win it all. That last game, maybe it's different. But up until that point, it's the losing that eats the great ones alive. They can't take it. They can't stomach it. And I think Jokic has that.
And I think it's growing in him, because I think early in his career, you would call him happy-go-lucky. And he was a competitor, but he had this like lightness to him. And every year that I've covered him since his very first media day, his very first summer league, all the way until, obviously last night. And I just see almost every single day, you win a championship, you think, oh, there's a weight off your shoulders, this or that. Somehow he's like more motivated. He's become back more hungry, like more wanting more and more of it. And I love the play you talked about, because I noticed it as well. And it's a thing he does all of the time, where he'll throw passes that sometimes feel off the mark, but they're only off the mark because he knows if he throws it a little bit off, a defender will rotate out of position for the next play. And, he's almost luring them out. I always differentiate between basketball IQ and feel for the game. I think they're slightly different. Basketball IQ is you can sit down and know what the right thing to do is. Feel is how quickly you make those decisions. Jokic has both, but I think it's his feel that is the thing that is, out just off the charts. He reads everything. He just feels when to spin. When you talk about little things like, oh, he pinned you on this side and now you're trapped, he just feels those things in milliseconds. and they add up over the course. There's thousands of those little milliseconds that happen throughout the course of the game, and he feels every single one of them.
Yeah, and I actually watched them going against Valanciunas in the second half of that game, particularly in the fourth quarter when they finally got the separation they wanted. Jonas Valanciunas is a big, strong, tough dude, and I felt sorry for him. Like, that's how demoralized he looked at one point, especially when he got single coverage. And he's just like, are you guys serious right now? Like, what am I supposed to do with this? Because Jokic never shoots the ball until he wants to. And the only reason that he won't get a shot off against the guy one-on-one in the post that's a quality look is because they want to double at him. And if that's the case, he's already anticipated that. He knows where the ball is going to go next, and he can beat you that way with his passing. He's just, the debate is over. The debate's over. There's no more debate. This is the best player in the NBA. We've been going back and forth with this, with Giannis, with Embiid the last couple of years. This is the best player in the league. I think it's very difficult to make an argument otherwise. And every night you watch him, you see something else that reminds you of that. It's that simple for him. And look, they were getting smoked last night, by the way. And the third quarter turned the game. They came out of the locker room like the great teams do, and they put it to them. And it was a combination of a bunch of guys. But, we've gotten this far into this, and you haven't mentioned Julian Strawther. You want to go ahead and take a minute to talk about Julian Strawther and what we all watched last night when he became Kevin Durant for about a 6-minute stretch and did whatever he wanted to offensively? Give me your thoughts on that.
I love this kid, man. And, coming out, I'm not a big draft guy. I don't watch a ton of college. But the little tape I watched, I thought, okay, athletically, I don't know what he is. Could he do this or that? The guy knows how to play basketball. And there are some players in college who their games, he was a good player in college. He was a very good player in college, but whose games translate better to the NBA when there's more spacing and the smart, being a smart player is more rewarding because of that. You're playing with better players. I think he's one of those guys. He's a great shooter. He has one of the quickest shots. I'm curious, as a shooter yourself, I'm kind of curious what you think of his shot because it's a little unconventional, lightning quick. He almost just throws it at the rim. But if he was just that, he would be one thing. I love the way he reads the court. I love the way he moves. And he just is a guy to me that is always in the right spot offensively for a rookie that's 7 games into his career. That's why I'm so high on him. That, and obviously he's 6'7". He's got all this great length to him. But yeah, I'm curious what you think of his shot. It's a little unconventional.
It's unconventional. It was interesting last night. And look, some of this opportunity that he got last night, Jamal Murray's not there. So he gets more of an opportunity to play. Colin Gillespie gave you some nice minutes last night too. A Villanova kid I'm very familiar with. He got an opportunity to play last night and played well. Strawther, it was funny because he hit a couple and then they're like running everything for him. And at one point they ran like a staggered screen. He was coming toward the bench, caught it at about 27 feet and zero hesitation, turned, rose up, and that thing hit nothing but twine. And he had no doubt where that was going to go. And I was saying to myself, prior to last night, I'm looking at this, he had 20 points in his career, and he had 21 last night. And I said to myself, when he took that shot, this is the most confident 20-point career NBA scorer I've ever seen to that point. He looked like, for that stretch of minutes, and the way the bench reacted was great, and DeAndre Jordan especially, but he looked like, for that stretch, like this guy was like, I am the best player on the floor. That air of confidence that he had offensively, I'm not going to forget that. Now, the opportunities I understand on a team like this are going to be spotty, right? And he's going to be, it's hard when you see something like that for Mike Malone to say, oh, I'm not going to play this guy. But the minutes are going to be tough on a team like this, right? We know that. He's a young player. But I'm not going to forget that 6-8 minute stretch he had last night, the air of confidence he had with other guys on the court that have been in all-star games, and he looked like he thought he was the best player on the floor. That's going to stick with me for a while. He obviously flat out knows how to score. And, the rich get richer because you got a gem, I think, in Julius Strawther, man. I'm going to be watching him the rest of the year, any chance he's going to get minutes.
That was a really exciting game. And just real quick, with shooters, confidence to me is the differentiator between good and great shooters. These guys, you watch them in an empty gym. How many NBA players shoot 80% from 3 in an empty gym? I think it's a good number of them. You get out to the game and it's just, do you have the confidence to pull the trigger over and over and over again, whether you're making or missing? And to me, he has that trait. The guy just does not seem bothered by anything. As you mentioned, he gets into the game. The Nuggets are still coming back. He gets into the game. I think the Nuggets are down 15. It wasn't like he came in right away. They were still on the comeback trail, and he was a big part of that. So his shot making, but hits his confidence that I think just separates the great shooters.
Can I just add to that real quick, a final thought on that, because it's just great for me, myself being a shooter and understanding that element of it, right? So yes, you have to have it. I will say this era of basketball is more empowering for players than we've ever seen in the NBA, right? So guys are allowed, if you do that well and you're on the floor, do it as much as you want. You get daylight, let it fly. You have so much support from the coaching staff, your teammates, organizationally, that there's an understanding now that like that shot is a good shot. If that's what you're on the floor to do, you could score, go ahead, let it fly. You're going to get support. And my point being, when I played, like shot selection was a little bit different. What you were trying to accomplish when you came up the floor was just, you didn't fan out to the 3-point line on a 3-on-1 break, right? You were trying to get something different. Every team had 2 or 3 post players that could score, that the ball went into, and you played inside out during that era. So therefore, like shot selection and what, even a guy like myself, like who had the green light, I felt like most of the time there still was thoughts in your head. Is this a good shot or not?
Right.
That's gone now from the NBA. Like there's no hesitation on these guys. So I envy any player that comes into the league that's got shooting ability. If you're on a roster and you step on the floor, they expect you to let it fly if you have any daylight. And man, is that an empowering feeling, because all of the limitations are gone. You are free to just go out there and live with the results. Look, if you go a period of time, you can't make enough shots, well, then they're just going to not play you. But they're going to give you that opportunity to prove that it's sink or swim, and that's what you're out there to do. Do it, and we're not going to say a word about it. And, man, that is a good feeling for a shooter. You can see Strawther had the support of those guys and of Mike Malone last night to play that way.
And I think that last part, Julian Strawther after the game mentioned it, that the team, all the veteran players are telling him, like, yeah, man, you're out there. We want you to score. Don't miss 5 in a row, take the 6th one. Like, I think that this Nuggets team in particular is very the culture there is one that gives everybody confidence. Michael Malone after the game said one of Jokic's traits is that he empowers his teammates. And I think even a rookie, they just feel empowered to go out and do the things that they're best at.
We all silly like the mayor.